Hi, Ken Roberts, President of World City. Today, Castro, Trump, and what the death of Castro and the election of Trump means for U.S.-Cuba trade. Let's jump right in. What will the death of Fidel Castro mean from a U.S. point of view in terms of U.S. trade? The United States trade with Cuba is extremely limited because for the last 50 plus years we've had an embargo. We have not imported anything from Cuba in that time period. We have limited exports, which have been increasing over the last decade or so. Cuba ranks number 138 among roughly 225 U.S. trade partners, so not particularly important. Through the first 9 months of this year, that total trade was $176 million, not a particularly big number. What are those things, and so who might care if there's restrictions placed on that trade under a Trump administration? The overwhelmingly number one U.S. export to Cuba is poultry. It's mainly chicken thighs and legs and things like that. That accounted for, through the first 9 months of the year, was about $82 million of that $176 million. So it's a big piece of it. After that, it's small potatoes, almost literally speaking. But number two is soybean oil cake, which is traditionally used for feed for animals to raise them. Sometimes in some poor countries of the world is actually used for food for humans. Corn, soybeans are numbers 3 and 4. Through the first 9 months of this year, poultry imports rose about 30%, but they've been going up and down over recent years. Corn rose 400%, again, been going up and down over recent years. And soybeans were up 44%. Where does that trade leave? I live here in Miami, and as you can imagine, there was quite a bit of festivities and partying and everything with the death of Castro, but Port Miami ranks number 8 among the nation's 475 airports, seaports, and border crossings for trade with Cuba, and MIA, Miami International Airport, ranks number 9. Number 1 overwhelmingly is the Port of New Orleans, and that's again because a lot of those commodities, the corn and the soybeans and so forth, and they accounted for roughly 63 of that $176 million in trade. Number 2 is Mobile. Again, a lot of chicken going to come out of Mobile, plus some of the other commodities. Number 3 is Port Everglades, which is just north of Port Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That gives you a sense of sort of who those, what are those large ports that are affected, and what are the industries affected. Do I see a lot of blowback against Trump if he tightens in any way trade policy with Cuba? I'd be very surprised. It's just not going to be important to enough people with enough interest. The only one that will care a little bit will be the poultry industry. Even though that trade is relatively nominal, Cuba is the number 5 ranked buyer of U.S. poultry in the world after Mexico, which is overwhelmingly number 1, Hong Kong, and some other countries. So my guess, Trump has a lot of latitude if he wants to put some restrictions on U.S. trade with Cuba. The flip side is, will he care to do so? We'll wait and see on that one. Thank you.